know when we're ready.
We are good. Go ahead.
We are good. Welcome back. And Marcy, thank you for joining us, our Human Resources Manager, Marcy Emily, to present the Commissioner Orientation Packet.
Thank you. In May last month, the commission provided feedback on a new commissioner onboarding policy. And now staff has revised the draft policy to incorporate the board's feedback, and I welcome any feedback at this time or consideration of adoption of the resolution that's attached.
It's fabulous, but I have one thing. On 8.3, you say to 2 hours familiarizing yourself. And I think in the way that you've written it up until that point, it was not to a person, but I think it's for that the member could familiarize themselves as opposed to yourself, speaking to the you.
Oh.
That's the only thing, but other than that, I found it very helpful. And I didn't realize how many steps I missed. It does, you do give grace to come back as a sitting commissioner to come back for training, but I think this is fantastic. It's really, really well done. Thank you.
Commissioner?
Mayor Remy, a couple of things just to throw out. Under 7 on technology, it says IT manager provide each new commissioner with an iPad containing call order, etc. I think we should add that their choice of taking ours or using their own. Tom uses his own personally, and I've got an iPad that I thought about, but it's easier to stay with. It's just I'm throwing that out just as discussion.
I've been a commissioner longer than our iPad, so.
Okay, just a thought. I mean,
Are we subject to public records requests?
Yes.
So a personal computer would
be a
need to
problem.
be,
Sure.
yeah, you would lose your computer for a period of time.
Well, and arguably anything on it that could be related to the
Yes.
utility would be subject to review.
I think
That's
that's
why you
true,
might-
whether it's Water and Light's computer or yours.
Mhm.
If you.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you're using it for, yeah, I think that's the point, is that
Okay, well, I'll
it's an
take-
accepted.
you want a water light
If
iPad?
there's an extra one, I'll take it. Thank
Okay.
you. I don't.
You heard that, Trina? Okay, well, okay, that's.
or that may be a mute point. I don't,
So we just moved to, so we've had, over the last couple of years at the city, we moved, first we got the council iPads, and then we got the council a few years later, computers, Microsoft Edge, and then those iPads went to the planning commission. So now the planning commission has those, council has computers, and just this last year, we introduced cell phones for the counselors as well, and it's quite specific to that. But of course, this body doesn't take
No.
tons of
true.
calls or and have that same need in that way.
yeah.
But part of it was about that, is about protecting the privacy of the people that were in service and making sure that your records were all in one place. So that was what we were trying to achieve. I'm totally amenable or flexible. I mean, I think that there's an accepted risk if you don't want to use a provided device, and really that I would look to you for your guidance on that.
Oh, we absolutely, I would recommend
Okay.
providing devices.
No one's ever offered me one before,
Okay.
so I'll take it. Thank you.
All right, well, then that resolves that, and I'll be quiet about that. Second item I have, number 8, new commissioner resource book. We have this wonderful history and legacy we have prepared,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that should be mandatory reading because it's got from the day we started to today. So I think we should add that, the green book, or what's our
Yeah.
official title, or
The history.
I forget.
In your service, is that what it's called, Trina?
Yeah,
At your service?
I don't really
Something
know.
like that.
Yeah, it's at your service.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay, I shot it the second time.
Okay,
If they have to read that, it will increase the time for this section,
And yeah, I think it's a good idea to have that included.
just to get it.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
that
I think it's.
Well, we're not calling out the mandatory reading of any of it.
Say
It's
it's
all,
reference
it's all
material.
research
Yeah,
material.
Yeah, I think.
Otherwise, a great document, and I'm in support of it.
And then I had something, I wonder, to be fair to to the new commissioner or this prospective new commissioner who looks at this. In the time commitment, section 4, should we talk about additional time commitments such as the watershed tour? The annual association conferences and then these various work sessions. I hope that the budget review sessions continue.
Yeah, I think I got called out elsewhere. I think
Yeah, they
it's
did.
not under the time, but I know the travel and the
Yeah,
watershed
it's-
tour called out.
It's talked about, but I mean, I think it would be
It's
helpful.
additional training.
If
It's
you
number,
have
Ah.
number 10, that's where it's at,
I understand. Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
number 10.
So essentially, we're talking about moving some of the information from number 10, under additional training. So are you suggesting that whole section essentially under additional training could be kind of a subsection of the time commitment or vice versa?
Yeah,
So
I think
that-
it might be, I just would like, if somebody looks at this and they want to say, well, what's the time commitment? They go to that section, then that's what it tells them, so. Maybe
So-
additional training would be part of that, but additional training is another good idea too, so. Maybe
What
you,
if you could just add a sentence that says, please refer to section 10 for additional.
So under 4.2, there's the additional training section 10, which is where I have the 0 to 4
The
days.
bottom of the page.
Oh,
Which,
okay,
Although you-
then in section 10,
okay.
I call out
Yes, we referenced
what would
You-
the
you
ideal
got it.
might be for the watershed tour and.
You got it.
This one, it's covered.
Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do you have any questions? Or Tom, are you, or Commissioner Tankersley, are you finished with your questions or do you have?
no, that's fine.
That's right. Okay, you're good. My question is around email, which I know we don't have emails at this time for commissioners, so that's not in here, so I'm kind of looking at both of you. Where is that in a process step in terms of, I know nobody wants another email address, but this goes back to the same, in my mind, but please correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same records and privacy concern.
Get email.
That hasn't come up before. You can review it for sure.
And we can add it down the road if there's interest in it.
And would that be a security issue?
That would need to be considered.
Yeah.
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 That would need to be considered absolutely. But,
Yeah, I think it would came
How-
up, sorry, go ahead.
well, how that information, how you access that will have to be reviewed, but that's very reasonable.
talking
We'll just have
about
to
the
take that into
government one?
consideration. Absolutely.
Yeah, that,
So I'm referencing, I know we just did a website update, and we've also had conversations about moving to a .gov website for security reasons. And with that would come .gov emails, which also would increase the security of emailing.
But my question is, if we all had an email address, it was part of this system here, would that be a security problem?
I think
Because
you
it's something
heard
that
Ryan say
coming
that.
Through our, pardon?
You heard Brian say
Yeah.
that if you have email, you have an issue.
Yeah, so I'm just.
So the,
Um,
yeah,
I don't-
so the federal government is recommending that all elected bodies move to .gov for emails, et cetera.
No.
Because you do email in and out. I understand you're saying if you're in the system, you're an added vulnerability to the system.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I think the .gov recommendation is for people who already are in the system. I don't think it's to
It's-
add people.
no, it's for elected bodies.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think that the .gov is for elected bodies where the people are already in the system. The federal government, I don't think is recommending that you add people to your system for security purposes.
I am happy to forward kind of if I
Okay.
think I have some
Yeah.
email with the overview. What I understand what you're saying, that
Yeah.
adding to that system inherently adds risk.
Mhm.
What I understood from the recommendations was that it was better to have all of the elected bodies working off of .gov emails, and they were recommending that organizations that are governmental organizations migrate to .gov websites and emails entirely. That was the recommend, I mean, it's not,
Okay,
yeah.
we're just, and you read it, I didn't, so I just had a I'm interpreting it differently.
Yeah, and I could have interpreted
Yeah.
it, I could have misinterpreted
But I
it, so
think-
we can
but-
add it back to
yeah.
this later.
Right, but I think to your point is, I think that is still moving towards the .gov for water, light in
Yeah,
general.
that's still under consideration.
So I think that's
Yeah, and I'm
step
not
one.
objecting to that.
Yeah,
That's
and we
step
have to
one.
apply for it, and then there's a waiting list, if I understand, right? No?
It doesn't, it's pretty aggressive. There's a lot of people moving to it. So the last conversation I had, it was. They were giving a lot of resources to bring in companies. So I don't think it's as much of a waiting list as you might
I
have
think.
before.
Okay, so I would just ask if we revisit this packet next year, which I think we should do, and see how, what we want to fine tune. I would just ask that by the time we do that next year, we've had some further conversation about the elected body and their use of technology and how we integrate that into this. Okay, excellent. Then I think we've considered everyone's points. Okay, so I would ask for a motion, or would you like to read the?
Yeah, so I'm gonna suggest that, because I think the only changes that really brought out were in section 8. Am I understanding that right?
The at your service book in 8, and then, yeah, you're right, E3.
So, subject to the revisions detailed regarding section 8, which I'm sure Trina caught and will be reflected in the minutes. Approved resolution number 2024-11, a resolution adopting an onboarding policy for new members of the light division.
So moved.
I have some discussion after the second comes in.
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Gormley and a second from Commissioner Christensen. We'll go back to conversation and discussion.
Real quickly, under section 4 about the time commitment. Is it correct that you've talked about? I mean, you have 2 hours of special meetings, so that would be that's what we're gonna talk, that's where you're talking about the 4 meetings for the budget?
It could be any special meeting that you have. Just estimating 2 hours.
Okay,
Do
so
you
it's
think
2
you-
hours a month or 2 hours?
As needed.
As needed, as many
For
as.
meeting.
For meeting.
I mean, shouldn't we make our best guess for people as to what that is per month or per year? I mean, it seems to me you're gonna have one a month, at least 1 2-hour meeting a month. That's what we've been doing recently. And I think that's much better information for somebody.
And these are per month.
Except
numbers
for
are-
special
Different
meetings.
Special meetings.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Not for-
You can change it to. Well, to whatever you want, but 2 hours a month or.
That's my perception, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think that's
It's
probably
a board
realistic
meeting.
for now because we're going through the BPA contract and that's why we're gonna be spending a lot more time.
Shorter term, but all those budget meetings are part of a regular commission meeting.
Okay, so we're really talking about the work sessions, essentially.
Yeah, there
working-
were sessions, so I was thinking about.
I think that we want to change the language in 4.1 where it says as needed on the line of special meetings to month.
Estimate.
If that's correct, I mean,
Well, if we're doing 1 work session a month and or at least, yeah, I mean.
I think it is, but I wasn't sure everybody else thought it was, so.
So the who made the motion?
Commissioner Gormley?
Oh, it'd be a friendly amendment, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll include subject to the changes in 4.1 to change to 2 hours a month for the special meetings, together with the changes described in section 8. The motion will be resolution number 2024-11, resolution adopting onboarding policy for new members of the Water and Light Commission.
Thank you, and I'd ask the clerk to poll the commission, please.
Yes, Mayor Drapkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Tate,
Aye.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Aye.
Commissioner Gormley,
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen.
Aye.
And the resolution is adopted unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and next we're moving to our watershed wildfire mitigation plan. We should add that one first.
I think so.
Actually, it's electric and watershed. It's both, two separate.
Electric and water.
Electric
Oh,
and
plan.
watershed
All right.
wildlife.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, we're talking about the two plans tonight for we've got the electrical, wildfire mitigation plan, we had the watershed, wildfire mitigation plan. This is an annual thing. We come back every June. We bring forth the changes and modifications to these plans. Kind of walk through them with you. If you have questions, we answer those questions. And also, we're gonna go through some accomplishments from last year. So I have, a couple quick little things here in regards to the two plans. Just for clarification purposes, the electrical plan is actually a requirement, so that's something that we make the changes to it and then Brent submits it to the PUC. The watershed wildfire mitigation plan is something that's a best practice we do in-house. And it's been pretty successful the last couple of years. It's kind of in coordination with other agencies. And we update it's a lot thicker, it's a lot of information in there, but it's a lot more comprehensive in regards to other utilities and so forth, and contacts up there. So I have Brent Scribner here for the electrical side. He's gonna talk about some of the accomplishments, some of the changes to the plan that we did, and then Ryan Stick, the water superintendent, will also address the watershed wildfire. Go ahead, Ryan.
Good evening. Yeah, I was touching on a couple of things that we did last year and how the wildfire response went. So we installed 3 new reclosers in the West Hills area just to give us a little bit better sectionalizing capability if there was an event that required part of that section to be isolated. It would not take out the whole feeder. So that was a good project to get done. And we put it in use. There was a couple red flag call outs that happened last year, and we pretty much ran that whole section of town in the wildfire protective mode, and knock on wood, we didn't have any events that happened.
So, Brent, would you explain what a recloser is? For the commission, I'm not sure that everyone knows what that is.
It's like a fuse that can protect the system if there's a fault that happens, but it's computerized and very expensive, and it can also close back in again. And for wildfire, you turn the second part off, and so it's just a very expensive fuse. Just kidding, but they're also remotely controllable, and they have very good logging, and they're much more sensitive.
Yeah, essentially like a breaker in your house.
Right.
So.
No, they've been a nice addition to that part of town. So the main changes for the wildfire plan this year have been pretty minor. There was a reference to starting up an infrared inspection program. That section has been deleted and it's been changed to implemented now. So detailing a new section in the engineering department, we're going to start doing infrared inspections regularly of our facilities to try and capture anything that could be hot, that could be a wildfire ignition risk. And along with that, there was a couple minor housekeeping changes as well, just correcting some typos here and there. And then moving into wildfire season this year, we're doing kind of patrols of likely vegetation issues that might be occurring just due to routine growth or other hazards around the system. And the contract vegetation management crews have been instrumental in keeping that under control. That's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Questions?
Real quick question, on the infrared system, can the commissioners take a class and fly the drone that does the testing?
I don't see why not.
Additional questions? Not hearing any? Will you do the honors?
Sure, I have a resolution for you tonight, resolution number 2024-12, a resolution by the city of McMinnville acting by and through its Water and Light Commission, updating the electric wildfire mitigation plan.
I accept a motion.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion from Commissioner Gormley, a second from Commissioner Christensen. I'd ask the clerk to poll the commission.
Yes, Mayor Dropkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Tate,
Aye.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Aye.
Commissioner Gormley,
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen.
aye.
And the resolution is adopted unanimously. And thank you for staying up here so we can move right into the change order for emergency Haskell's Creek culvert. Oh, no?
Watershed.
Oh, sorry.
It'll be quick, I promise. There wasn't actually a lot of updates to it, just contact information
position changes. We did transfer, we had the brush truck was a two-wheel drive chassis. We have now transferred it to a four-wheel drive chassis. So that's a big improvement. And we performed our annual training with ODF. So we perform that every year with them. So water department coordinates with Oregon Department of Forestry. They come out, they look at our truck, recommend things that we may add or take off, go through different hose lays with ODF. So if we have to respond to a fire, we can have things ready as they show up. Other than that, not a lot has changed from our plan.
So there's a fire station on Pants Creek Road that is real close to
Mhm.
a few miles. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. I mean, we're
Yeah.
very lucky to have that. And that's manned in the summertime, right?
Well, ODF stays, at the site there, the mobile home,
Mhm.
and then Carlton has a rural fire station right next door to there. So,
You,
real quick
Commissioner?
question. For next year, would it make sense to put in a section about keeping the rotation shorter on the trees next to the BPA line? Just so that idea doesn't get lost, because it's gonna take a long time to do it. Yeah, we can incorporate that.
Right, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
I had,
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask a question about, I saw Yamhill County hasn't updated any plans for.
So I
Like
talked
since
with Brian, I
2015.
talked with Brian Young, and he said that they're going to do that this fall. They're going to update theirs.
So, and would you have a seat at that table or have any involvement in that? When they do?
That's a good question. I don't.
I mean, I think the fact that the watershed is in the middle, is surrounded by Yamhill County, and Yamhill County doesn't have a plan that's been talked about, or, I mean, it could have been talked about, but it hasn't been republished or reapproved for a lot of years. It seems really important that be looking at that. And my second question was about the new structure for the fire. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna find the right description, but how we have a new fire district, right?
Oh, right.
And I just wondered if that had any implications or changes to your plan and how that all works together.
It didn't make any changes to our plan. We just have them as a responding agency,
Mm,
so it wouldn't really, I don't see it changing a lot.
mhm.
We're actually in Carlton's district,
Yeah.
Yamhills. So we're actually not in the.
Okay.
We have some good
Uh,
communication with the FW up there.
Yeah.
So we had that last time we had that wildfire up there,
Mulberry Fire.
Wildland fire just to the north.
and that was put out pretty quickly. I mean, we're in pretty good communication during fire season with them.
Yeah.
In regards to Yamhill County, we can put a request in to be part
That's
of
what I
that.
was gonna say,
Yeah.
formalize.
Ryan's pretty good. We can talk to him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming it's necessary, maybe it's not, but I just feel like if something was really catastrophic, they're your neighbor,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah, and
Well,
in
and
charge of emergency management.
he's the point of contact with
Yeah,
the state.
yeah,
So if there's an emergency, he's
He's
the
the one.
person.
Calling for resources.
So we need to have that connectivity. there.
And I was gonna add, we actually last week had a tabletop exercise with Brian here.
oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay,
So-
perfect.
We do talk to Brian quite a bit, Marcy in particular, but we
They
did
just
have a
don't like
table.
to publish things.
Oh,
I think they're just a little bit slower than others on getting a lot of those things up.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of people over there. Their resources are pretty.
Yeah,
Limited.
Okay, so I heard a series of small amendments. Yeah,
Mine out, we can do it next year. Next year. It's not,
Next
the
year?
rotation will be.
Yeah, we'll make sure it's
Not be a
addressed
problem.
next year. We'll have it.
Next year.
okay.
Okay, so we have resolution number 2024-13, a resolution by the city of MW&L combined through its Water and Light Commission upholding the watershed wildfire mitigation plan.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gormley, a second from Commissioner Christensen. I'd ask the clerk to poll the commission.
Yes, Mayor Dropkin,
Aye.
Commissioner Tate,
Aye.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Aye.
Commissioner Gormley,
Aye.
Commissioner Christensen.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted unanimously. Thank you very much. And we will now move to the change order for emergency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
These are great. They really are.
Taking it. All right. Haskins Creek Road Emergency Culvert Repair. So we had an emergency contract for $300,000 approved through commission. That was a couple months ago. It's commission meetings. On May 10th, we went out after it was approved. We met with it was Mason, Bruce, and Gerard was out there, Brent, Oregon Department of Forestry, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, Ryan, myself were there. We kind of went through the parameters, like what are they going to require of us out there? At that point, we hadn't opened up the permitting discussion. Brent's taken lead in that piece, so he had coordinated the meeting, and we're kind of thinking, what were we going to be required to do out there in regards to design? Working with Emery and Sons, the contractor, our position was basically trying to put it back like for like, because it was maintenance, emergency repair. Talking with fisheries out there, they were pushing for an arch culvert. So after the end of that discussion, it was a 20-foot arch culvert with his passage, and the size increased quite a bit there. So the cost that we're coming forward, the cost of the change order is all for that size increase. So just to kind of sum it up real quick, it's the $177,275.50. That changeover is for the footing size increase. So the arch culvert goes up and then it mounts down on concrete footings. Originally, we had Emery and Sons pouring those footings themselves. That came in around $80,000. With the increase on that, we're at $177,000 for all the footings and all the modifications tied to those footings. Increased material for the 20-foot culvert, and then it's 60 feet long, which we were hoping it was going to be a little shorter than that, 50. So, but either way, it worked out nice. As Brent mentioned earlier tonight, fisheries did work with us on that. So under typical stance, under normal circumstances, we would have been a lot wider, which would have required a bridge. In this case, they allowed us to pull the culvert in, make it 20 feet. We do have control up above with the dam, so that was a factor in that as well. And then they're allowing us to work in the fish window, which is like a nice accommodation there. So with this change order here, I'll put us at $477,275.50. And all this work here, as it was discussed earlier, we awarded it to Emery since it's force account work. So we're tracking it on a time and materials basis. So you're basically getting what you paid for in regards to that. So hopefully it's under that. We'll see where it goes from there, but it's still an emergency. Right now we have steel plates over the road up there. There's still some concern there, and there's some serious risk still there. So our goal is to get that replaced. I think the materials were coming in mid-July, and then we can start on that maybe end of July and wrap it up in August, hopefully.
Thank you.
James, does the price seem reasonable? I
It
mean,
does.
I'm sorry, it seemed market, right? It doesn't seem reasonable.
Yeah,
It seemed market.
It's working. So all this is going through Connex, who's they design the culvert. So it comes all prepackaged. And it does sound, we checked, Brent worked on it, with Mason, Bruce, and Gerard. Emery and Sons checked it, I checked it. It looks definitely reasonable. And then the work itself is, we're gonna do some work up there with some conduits as well, which is, we have some overhead power up there on the phone that we're gonna put in conduit up there. But it's still total of 4 conduits, 3-inch.
And the footing costs seem reasonable.
The footing costs?
Yeah.
Yeah, the footing costs just went up, like I mentioned, what's that?
I say it's in the ground in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we're worried about the timing right now too, aren't we?
So
we start.
yeah, the footings themselves, so they can't be poured in the creek. That's because of fish. So originally we we're gonna have, Emery was like, we can probably pour those. They're gonna be 2 feet by a foot thick. And then when we talked about traffic loading, we talked about 20-foot arch culvert. The footings increased to, they're 4 foot 9 inches and they're almost 2 feet thick. And the design parameters on there, they don't have the capability of pouring those footings in their yard, so they have to be,
Okay.
So,
poured on, so faster.
And so one of the other things we're looking at is right now we have overhead power up in that area, so we're looking at going. That's why the conduit's going along there, so we're looking at pushing the tower, the overhead up the road further, so. There's an issue there with trees coming down, and how many times have they come down in that corner now?
Yeah. A few times.
So trying to get that situation
So
resolved.
reliability and the.
Reliability.
also-
Fire and another,
And is that our
yes.
line?
That's a.
Yeah, we took over a portion of that line from West Oregon Electric.
They're also, but
The culvert, is it in that 477?
the full price.
Yeah, the materials in it, okay.
So that's the full package for purchase of culvert. and
Other than
installation.
our incidental labor and us putting conduit in and.
They're
Yeah, it's all wrapped up.
Oh, they'll throw the
in there.
conduit in,
And
including that.
if we can break away and go out there and put it ourselves, we can do that. Just kind of depends on how it all comes together.
So force accounts, a typical public contracting activity, and it's basically T&M. Prices are set in advance and agreed upon, markups are agreed upon. Yep. So it's, yeah.
Right.
Any additional questions? Thank you.
So the motion could read something like this: finding that the change to the scope is within the original procurement would not have affected the field of competition of the original procurement, adds no work, and is consistent with the public contracting code. The commission to approve and authorize the mayor and clerk of the commission to sign the Haskins Creek Road Emergency Culvert Replacement, or commission to sign the Haskins Creek Road Emergency Culvert Replacement Project Contract Change Order number 1 for $177,275.50, increasing the total contract price to $477,275.50.
Move for adoption.
I have a motion from Commissioner Gormley,
Second.
a second from Commissioner Tankersley. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Thank you. Do we have any general manager comments?
I have two additional, Karina wanted me to remind the commission, July 2nd will be our first work session for power supply.
At 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Was that just because of me?
No.
Past my bedtime right now. Okay,
Oh.
excellent.
Vacation.
Oh. Trina, did you mark a check mark? Mayor's gonna be on vacation.
Oh. Sorry, we can't allow that.
July 2nd.
I'm coming.
I'm out of town too. Sorry.
Okay. And then the next item is, you should be getting a invite for an infrastructure tour. August 1st from 9 to 2, that will be both electric and water.
Oh,
Now, is that the
That's not the
joint
one.
work session? Is that that's not the
No,
water
that's-
caucus? This
no,
is
this
just
is-
the infrastructure
yeah.
tour.
for
Okay.
just the commission?
Our normal type, yes, our normal type tour.
No, but her question was, is it just the commission?
No, it's including the one we've normally done in the past
Council.
with
Oh.
council, whoever.
Council and,
Whoever's
okay,
coming.
so,
Wait a second.
It's
So,
not the one you're thinking.
well, no, but I'm asking, is the date of the next, so we had discussed that for the next joint meeting of the commission and the council, that we would do essentially a bit of an infrastructure tour. So, but that's not what this is.
No, that's not what this is. That,
This is
Jeff and I
just a-
talked a little bit about that, and so we're like thinking maybe some city sites and water lights
Yeah.
for that one.
Yeah.
This will just be water.
The
light
watershed, classic.
Yeah.
Classic watershed tour.
with a little extra, a
from,
little kick in it,
8 to noon.
9 to 2.
And then the invitations are going out beyond the commission to,
Yeah, we have a pretty extensive list. So
okay,
we'll see who's.
and this is also separate than the water caucus.
Yes.
Tour. Thank you.
Can
So
you
one quick
clarify
note on the
more?
work sessions, really quick. So those were set based on everybody's availability, and those are standing for the next 6 months. So from July through December, the first Tuesday of the month from 7 to 8 a.m., we kind of have these standing work sessions set. They will be Zoom only, so not expected to be here in person for those, and we will hold them mainly for power resources and upcoming BPA contract issues, but we may throw in potentially a financial reserve policy or something like that if we need to dedicate one to those. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's not just in July, but the first Tuesday of every month through the end of the year.
And I could probably make it by Zoom.
And Trina, they're recorded, so, right? They're gonna be recorded.
Yes.
They can watch.
So if we, so you don't need quorum.
You don't need a quorum, it's a
Right.
work session.
Because I won't be at the September.
You don't need a work session in a quorum. 'Cause there's
No,
no
not for the
decisions
work set,
being made.
unless we throw something else in
Right.
there between now and December, but we don't know what that agenda may look like, but for everyone, it's not necessary.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments?
Done here.
No?
I just would like to again extend my gratitude to everyone here at McMinnville Water and Light for participating in the community fair. That the intent of that entire afternoon is to help make our governments more accessible to our community. And I think that that is happening effectively, and that is effective because you are all showing up and bringing a lot to it and making efforts to have things that are available, that are interactive for people of all ages. And I just really appreciate that effort. So thank you for doing that. Okay, we are gonna go into executive session. We will not be coming out into open meeting after that. Other than to just adjourn the meeting. So I will ask our council to read us into executive session, and thank you all. I hope you have a great night, except for those that are staying.
So we're going to executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660 sub 2 sub F to consider information records that are exempt from public disclosure under 192-345 sub 23, revealing security measures to protect individuals, buildings, property, and information processing, and ORS 192-660 sub 2 sub P, consider matters relating to cybersecurity infrastructure and responses to cybersecurity threats. I don't think we have any media with us, but we did, if you want not to share anything from the executive session.
Thank you.
Big boys.
Yeah.